The unprovoked attack. Commander Sarah Chen stood motionless on the bridge of the Earth Defense Fleet ship Defiant, her eyes fixed on the main view screen. The images flashing across it seemed impossible. Major cities burning, defense stations crumbling, civilian transports being shot down without warning. "Status report," she demanded, her voice steady despite the horror unfolding before her. Lieutenant Davis looked up from his console, face ashen. "Beijing, New Delhi, and London are under direct bombardment. Sydney and Mexico City reporting massive casualties. Our lunar bases have gone silent." "Any communication from Earth Command?" Chen asked. "Scattered transmissions only, Commander. Most government centers were hit in the first wave." Chen's mind raced. The Arcanian Dominion vessels had appeared without warning just hours ago. There had been no declaration of war, no demands, just immediate and devastating attacks on Earth's major population centers and defense installations. "What about the Mars colonies?" Chen asked. "Still intact, but the Dominion fleet is moving in that direction," responded Communications Officer Patel. "They're begging for evacuation support." Chen studied the tactical display. The Defiant was one of Earth's newest and most advanced warships, but it was still grossly outmatched by the Dominion fleet. The aliens' technology was centuries ahead of humanity's, their energy weapons capable of slicing through Earth's best defenses like paper. "Why now?" she murmured. Earth had only been part of the Galactic Council for 30 years. Humans were newcomers to interstellar politics, still finding their place among species that had been traveling the stars while humans were discovering fire. "Commander, incoming transmission from Admiral Reyes," announced Patel. The screen flickered to show an older man in a dust-covered uniform. Behind him, smoke filled what remained of Earth Command's underground headquarters. "Commander Chen," the Admiral's voice crackled through static. "Good to see the Defiant is still operational." "Sir, what's happening? Why are the Arcanians attacking us?" The Admiral's face hardened. "We've intercepted communications between their ships. They're targeting our quantum research facilities. They discovered Project Nemesis." Chen's eyes widened. Project Nemesis was Earth's most closely guarded secret, a revolutionary technology being developed that could potentially leapfrog human advancement beyond even the oldest Galactic Council races. The project had been hidden from Council oversight, violating several treaty provisions. "But sir, Nemesis is purely theoretical. We're years from a working prototype." "The Arcanians don't believe that," replied Reyes grimly. "Their leadership is convinced we're about to deploy it against them. This isn't a conquest, Commander. It's a preemptive strike to eliminate what they see as an existential threat. So they're trying to wipe us out before we can defend ourselves," Chen said, anger rising in her voice. "Precisely. And they nearly succeeded." The Admiral tapped something on his console. "I'm sending you coordinates for a facility in the Himalayan mountains. Dr. Elias Ward and his team are there, working to bring Nemesis online." Chen looked at the navigation data appearing on her screen. "Sir, with all due respect, if Nemesis isn't operational—" "It wasn't," interrupted Reyes. "But Dr. Ward believes they can have it functioning within 12 hours. The problem is, our sensors show Dominion ships closing in on their location. They need time." Understanding dawned on Chen. "You want the Defiant to draw them away." The Admiral nodded solemnly. "You're the fastest ship we have left. Take the fight to them. Make enough noise that they can't ignore you. Every minute you keep them distracted is another minute for Dr. Ward to finish his work." "What exactly is Nemesis, sir?" Chen asked. "What can it do against a force this overwhelming?" A thin smile crossed the Admiral's weathered face. "Something the Arcanians never considered possible. Something that will make them regret ever threatening humanity." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Chen turned to her crew, determination replacing the shock on her face. "Navigation. Set course for the edge of the lunar orbit. Weapons. Prepare all systems. Communications. Broadcast on all frequencies that we're evacuating Earth leadership. She paused, making eye contact with each bridge officer. "I won't order anyone to stay. This mission is likely one way." Not a single crew member moved to leave. "It's been an honor serving with you all," Chen said softly. Then, with renewed strength in her voice, "Now let's show these Arcanians what happens when you cornered humans." The Defiant's engines flared to life, propelling the ship away from Earth and toward the imposing line of Dominion vessels orbiting the moon. Dr. Elias Ward wiped sweat from his brow as he worked furiously at his terminal. Around him, 24 of Earth's most brilliant scientists scrambled to complete what they had believed would take another year of development. "Power fluctuations in Sector 3, called out Dr. Maya Okafor, her fingers flying across her console, rerouting through auxiliary systems. The underground facility, carved deep into the Himalayan mountains, shook as another explosion rocked the surface above. The Dominion hadn't found them yet, but they were methodically bombing the entire mountain range. "How much longer?" demanded Security Chief Ramirez, checking the ammunition in his rifle. His small team of soldiers was all that stood between the scientists and the Dominion ground forces that would eventually locate the facility. "The quantum matrix is stabilizing," Ward replied without looking up. "If it holds, maybe 4 hours." "We don't have 4 hours," Ramirez said grimly. "Sensors show they're narrowing down our location. 3 hours at most before they're through the outer defenses." Ward nodded, his face grim but determined. "Then we'll do it in 3. On the main screen, they could see the Defiant engaging 3 Dominion cruisers near lunar orbit. Commander Chen was executing a brilliant evasion pattern, drawing fire and attention away from Earth. "The Defiant won't last long against those odds," murmured Dr. Takeda, the team's quantum physicist. "They don't need to last forever," Ward replied. "Just long enough." He turned back to his work, fingers dancing across holographic controls. What the Arcanians couldn't understand, was that Project Nemesis wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense. It was something far more revolutionary. For centuries, all Galactic Council races had built their technology on the same fundamental principles. Their faster-than-light drives, energy weapons, shield systems, all operated on similar quantum harmonic frequencies. It was this standardization that allowed interstellar civilization to function. But human scientists had discovered something the older races had missed, a fundamental vulnerability in this standardized approach. Project Nemesis was designed to exploit this vulnerability, creating a cascading quantum disruption that could temporarily disable any technology operating on these frequencies. "Quantum node network at 43% connectivity," announced Dr. Okafor. "We need at least 75% for complete coverage of the solar system." Ward nodded. Tiny quantum nodes had been secretly deployed throughout Earth's solar system over the past 5 years. Each one was designed to amplify the Nemesis field effect. If they could activate enough of them, they could potentially disable every Dominion ship in the system simultaneously. "Status update on the Defiant?" Ward asked, not looking up from his work. Dr. Takeda checked another screen. "They've destroyed 1 Dominion cruiser, but they've taken heavy damage. Hull integrity at 62% and falling." Ward closed his eyes briefly. Commander Chen and her crew were buying them precious time with their lives. He couldn't let their sacrifice be in vain. "I found a way to accelerate the quantum synchronization," announced Dr. Lin, the team's computer specialist. "It's risky. We'll need to bypass 3 safety protocols." "Do it," Ward ordered without hesitation. "Safety protocols won't matter if we're all dead in 3 hours." As Lin began implementing the changes, the facility shook again, more violently this time. Dust fell from the ceiling, and several monitors flickered. "Direct hit on the upper levels," reported Ramirez. "They're getting closer." Ward turned to the security chief. "How many civilians are left in the evacuation zone?" "None. We got the last transport away an hour ago. It's just us now." Ward nodded, relief mixing with grim determination. At least innocent lives were out of immediate danger. Now it was up to his team to ensure humanity had a future at all. Commander Chen is buying us time with the lives of her crew, Ward said loudly, addressing the entire team. We will not waste a second of it. Humanity has faced extinction before, from disease, from climate change, from our own weapons. Each time, we survived through ingenuity and determination. Today will be no different. The scientists worked with renewed energy, each focused entirely on their tasks. The quantum matrix stabilized further as Lin's modifications came online. The connection percentage between quantum nodes began to climb. 50%, 58%, 63%. On the tactical screen, they watched as the Defiant executed a daring maneuver, diving between two Dominion cruisers and forcing them to fire on each other. One cruiser's shields failed, and the Defiant's remaining weapons tore into its exposed hull. That's our commander, whispered Ramirez with fierce pride. But the victory was short-lived. 5 more Dominion ships appeared, surrounding the damaged Earth vessel. The Defiant fought valiantly, its weapons firing continuously as it twisted and turned through the enemy formation. Node network at 71%, reported Dr. Okafor. Almost there. Then suddenly, the tactical screen lit up with a massive energy discharge. When it cleared, the Defiant was drifting, its engines dark, hull breached in multiple places. No, whispered Dr. Takeda. Ward stared at the screen for 1 second, then turned back to his work with redoubled intensity. Commander Chen just gave her life to buy us a few more minutes. Let's make them count. As if in response to his words, the facility's lights flickered, then stabilized as emergency power kicked in. They found us, Ramirez announced, checking his tactical display. Dominion ground forces breaching the upper levels. We have maybe 20 minutes before they reach this section. Ward looked at the progress indicator, 82% node connectivity. Close, but not enough. Dr. Lin, divert all facility power to the quantum matrix, he ordered. Life support, defenses, everything except the lights and our terminals. That will leave us defenseless, Ramirez objected. We're already defenseless against their forces, Ward replied calmly. Our only hope, humanity's only hope, is to activate Nemesis before they stop us. As the power redirected, the temperature in the facility began to drop rapidly. Breath fogged in the increasingly cold air as the scientists continued working. Above them, they could hear the sounds of weapons fire as Ramirez's soldiers engaged the first wave of Dominion forces. Network connectivity at 88%, announced Dr. Okafor, her voice tight with tension. 89%, 90%. The door to the lab sealed as Ramirez initiated lockdown protocols. It wouldn't hold the Dominion forces for long, but perhaps long enough. 95%, Dr. Okafor continued. 96, 97. Weapons fire echoed through the facility, growing closer. The final minutes of humanity's last stand were counting down. 98, 99. Dr. Okafor looked up, eyes wide. 100%. Network fully connected. Ward didn't hesitate. Initiate Nemesis protocol. Now. Dr. Lin pressed the activation sequence, and for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a low hum filled the facility as the quantum matrix pulsed with energy. On the monitors, they could see the wave of quantum disruption spreading outward from each node throughout the solar system. The weapons fire outside the lab suddenly stopped. Ward held his breath, staring at the monitors. Had it worked? Or had they simply run out of time? Humanity's unforgettable answer. For 30 agonizing seconds, the only sound in the laboratory was the hum of the quantum matrix. The weapons fire that had been drawing closer had ceased abruptly. Did it work? Whispered Dr. Okafor, her eyes fixed on the monitoring screens. Before anyone could answer, the facility's communication system crackled to life. Dr. Ward, this is Security Chief Ramirez. You need to see this. The main view screen switched to a security feed from the upper levels. Dominion soldiers stood frozen in the corridors, their advanced weapons inert in their hands. The aliens, tall with iridescent scales and 4 arms, were tapping frantically at their equipment, but nothing responded. "The Nemesis field is working," Ward breathed, hardly daring to believe it. "Their technology is offline." Dr. Lin was checking the sensor readings. "The effect is spreading through the quantum node network, Mars orbit, Jupiter's moons. The entire solar system is being covered." Another screen showed the Dominion ships in Earth orbit. The massive vessels that had been raining destruction on the planet were now drifting, their engines and weapons systems dark. What had been an invincible armada just moments ago was now nothing more than metal and composite hulls floating helplessly in space. Ward collapsed into his chair, the tension of the past hours finally catching up to him. "Check for any functioning Earth Defense Force ships. We need to secure those Dominion vessels before they can restore power." Dr. Takeda was already scanning. Several EDF ships survived by hiding in the asteroid belt. "They're moving to intercept the disabled Dominion fleet." He paused, eyes widening. "Sir, I'm picking up a signal from the Defiant." The Defiant? Ward stood abruptly. "It was destroyed." "Damaged, not destroyed," Takeda corrected, his voice filled with wonder. "Commander Chen managed to get emergency systems online. They're reporting their survival and moving to coordinate the capture of Dominion vessels." A cheer went up around the lab. Against all odds, Chen and at least some of her crew had survived. It felt like an omen. Perhaps humanity would endure this darkest hour after all. Dr. Okafor was monitoring the Nemesis field. "The disruption effect is holding stable. Based on our simulations, it should last approximately 72 hours before beginning to dissipate." 3 days, Ward nodded. "That should be enough time to secure our position." He turned to Ramirez, who had entered the lab. "What's the status of the Dominion ground forces?" "Completely neutralized," the security chief replied with a grim smile. "Their weapons, communications, even their armored exoskeletons, all dead. My team is rounding them up now." Ward accessed the global communication network, relieved to find that Earth's systems, built on slightly different principles than the standardized Galactic Council technology, were still functioning. "This is Dr. Elias Ward to all Earth Defense Force units and surviving government authorities. Project Nemesis has been successfully deployed. All Dominion technology within the solar system has been neutralized and will remain so for approximately 72 hours. I repeat, we have a 72-hour window to secure all Dominion assets." Responses began flooding in from around the world as surviving military and civilian leaders acknowledged the message. For the first time since the attack began, there was hope in their voices. 12 hours later, Commander Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Defiant, now repaired enough to maintain stable orbit. Through the view screen, she could see teams of EDF engineers in spacesuits swarming over the captured Dominion flagship, a vessel nearly 5 times the size of the largest human warship. "Remarkable," said Dr. Ward, who had been brought up from Earth to assist with understanding the alien technology. "Their entire system is built around quantum resonance technology. That's why Nemesis was so effective against them." Chen nodded, still coming to terms with their unexpected victory. "How many ships did we capture?" 43 in Earth orbit, replied Lieutenant Davis. "Another 39 throughout the rest of the system, nearly their entire invasion fleet." "And the casualties?" Chen asked quietly. Davis's face fell. "Current estimates are at 47 million civilian deaths worldwide. Most major cities suffered significant damage before Nemesis was activated." Chen closed her eyes briefly, absorbing the staggering loss. "And the Defiant?" 28 crew members lost, Davis reported, his voice tight. "Another 42 injured." The bridge fell silent as they honored the fallen. The victory had come at a terrible cost. The silence was broken by Officer Patel. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission. It's from the Galactic Council." Chen straightened her uniform. "Put it through." The view screen changed to show a being with luminous blue skin and elongated features, a Medusan, one of the founding races of the Galactic Council. "This is High Counselor Xeris," the alien announced. We demand an explanation for the hostilities between Earth and the Arcanian Dominion, and for the unprecedented technology disruption affecting Council space. Chen's expression hardened. The explanation is simple, Counselor. The Arcanians launched an unprovoked attack on Earth, killing nearly 50 million of our people. We defended ourselves. Using prohibited technology, the Counselor countered. Our sensors detected a quantum disruption wave emanating from your system. Such manipulation of fundamental forces violates multiple Council treaties. Dr. Ward stepped forward. Treaties that the Arcanians violated first when they attempted to exterminate our species without declaration of war or Council sanction. The Counselor's luminous eyes narrowed. The Arcanian representative claims they acted to neutralize a threat. They insist humans were developing technology that could destabilize the entire Council. And so they tried to wipe us out. Chen asked incredulously, "Is that the Council's idea of justice?" "The Council did not authorize their action," Xeris said carefully, "but the fact remains that your defense measure has disabled dozens of innocent Council vessels that happen to be in or near your system." Ward nodded. "An unfortunate side effect. I assure you, the disruption is temporary. All affected ships will regain full functionality within the next 60 hours. Nevertheless, the Council demands that you deactivate this technology immediately and surrender it for dismantling," Xeris insisted. "It represents too great a threat to galactic stability." Chen exchanged a glance with Ward before addressing the Counselor again. "We're prepared to negotiate, but not from a position of weakness. The Arcanians tried to exterminate us because they feared our potential. We've now demonstrated that their fear was justified." She gestured to the captured Dominion ships visible through the view screen. "We have secured the entire Arcanian invasion fleet. We have taken thousands of their soldiers prisoner. And yes, we possess technology that can neutralize any standard Council systems." "Are you threatening the Council?" Xeris asked, alarm evident in their voice. "No," Chen replied firmly. "I'm establishing that we will not be treated as a lesser species again. Humanity has earned its place at the table, not as supplicants, but as equals." Ward stepped forward again. "We propose a summit. In 48 hours, once the immediate crisis has been managed, Earth will host representatives from all Council races to negotiate new terms for our membership and establish protocols to ensure nothing like this attack can happen again." The Counselor was silent for a long moment. "And the Nemesis technology will remain under human control," Chen said without hesitation. "But we are willing to share our research and discuss safeguards that will satisfy the Council while maintaining our right to self-defense." "The Council will need assurances." "The Council will receive them," interrupted Chen. "But first, we require immediate humanitarian aid for our planet and formal censure of the Arcanian Dominion for their unprovoked attack." Xeris seemed to realize that the balance of power had shifted. For the first time in its history, the Council was negotiating from a position of vulnerability. "I will convey your terms to the full Council," Xeris said finally. "Expect our response within 12 hours. After the transmission ended, Chen turned to Ward. "Will they agree?" "They don't have much choice," Ward replied. "They've just discovered that a species they considered primitive has developed technology they didn't believe possible. Right now, they're scared. And that's good. Fear breeds respect." "I don't want their fear," Chen said quietly. "I want their cooperation. Humanity has suffered enough from conflict." Ward nodded thoughtfully. "Then we'll show them something else they don't expect from us. Mercy. We could have made Nemesis permanent. We could have left their ships without life support. We could be conquering their worlds right now. But we're not. Because that's not who we are," Chen agreed. "Exactly. And that's what will truly stun the Galactic Council, not just our technology, but our humanity." 1 week later, Commander Chen stood beside Dr. Ward in the newly constructed Council chamber in Geneva. The building had been hastily erected among the ruins of the city as a symbol of Earth's resilience and commitment to diplomacy. Representatives from 27 council races sat around a circular table, with the Arcanian delegate conspicuously isolated. The terms of peace had been agreed upon after 3 days of intensive negotiations. High Counselor Xeris rose to address the assembly. With the signing of these accords, Earth is formally recognized as a sovereign power within the Galactic Council, with all associated rights and protections. The Medusan turned to Chen and Ward. Furthermore, the Council acknowledges that the Arcanian attack was unjustified and in violation of our most sacred principles. The Arcanian representative, a high-ranking military officer who had been captured during the conflict, spoke next. The Dominion acknowledges its error in judgment and accepts the reparations terms. We will rebuild what we destroyed on Earth and provide technological assistance for the next 50 Earth years. Chen nodded, accepting their concession. The terms were generous, but not vindictive. Humanity had deliberately avoided demanding punishments that would breed resentment and future conflict. And the Nemesis technology? Asked a representative from the Taurian Confederation, a militaristic species clearly concerned about the shift in power dynamics. Ward stepped forward. As agreed, Earth will maintain sole control of the technology, but we have provided detailed documentation of its effects and limitations. The quantum disruptor will never be used offensively, only as a defensive measure of last resort. And we're expected to simply trust human restraint. The Taurian scoffed. Yes, Chen replied simply. Just as we're trusting that no council race will ever again attempt what the Arcanians did. She gazed around the chamber. We could have used Nemesis to conquer rather than defend. We could have held the council hostage rather than invited you to negotiate. Judge us by our actions, not your fears. A murmur spread through the assembly as the representatives considered her words. Even the most skeptical among them couldn't deny the truth. Humans had shown remarkable restraint given the power they now wielded. There is one more matter, Xeris announced. The Council has voted to establish a new division focused on emerging technologies and scientific exchange. We invite Earth to lead this initiative, with Dr. Elias Ward as its first director. Ward looked surprised but nodded his acceptance. I would be honored. As the formal proceedings concluded and the representatives began to mingle, Shen found herself approached by an elderly member of the Arcturian delegation, a species known for their prophecy and wisdom. You have surprised us all, Commander, the Arcturian said, their voice like wind through leaves. Few races enter the galactic community with such a dramatic introduction. Chen smiled wryly. Not how we would have chosen to make our mark. Perhaps not, the ancient being agreed. But sometimes the universe forces our hand to reveal our true nature. The Arcanians attacked because they feared what humanity might become. In doing so, they created exactly what they feared most, a human race that recognized its own potential. And what do you think we will become? Chen asked. The Arcturian's multifaceted eyes seemed to look beyond her, into some distant future. Something the galaxy has needed for a very long time. Not conquerors, not victims, but innovators. You see connections that older races have forgotten how to see. You question what we accept as immutable. The alien gestured to where Dr. Ward was deep in conversation with scientists from 3 different worlds, already sharing ideas. Your greatest weapon was not your Nemesis technology, Commander. It was your uniquely human perspective, the ability to look at a problem differently than anyone else. Chen watched as human survivors worked alongside alien representatives, planning the reconstruction of Earth's devastated cities. Already, the exchange of ideas was transforming both sides. The Galactic Council has existed for 12,000 years, the Arcturian continued. In all that time, it has changed little. I suspect that will no longer be the case. The ancient being smiled. The revenge you took for the attack on your world was not the destruction of your enemies, but the transformation of the galaxy itself. As Chen looked out at humans and aliens working together, she realized the Arcturian was right. Earth's devastating response to aggression had indeed left the Galactic Council speechless, not just through force, but through the revelation of a new way forward. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not by conquest, but by showing the galaxy a better path. And that, perhaps, was the most powerful revenge of all.